Hey, welcome. Today, we're jumping into a financial philosophy that's all about living a bigger, more intentional life, not a smaller one. We're going to talk about how you can craft what's called your rich life.
So let's just get right to it. You've heard this a million times, right? The secret to getting wealthy is to cut out every little joy you have, pinch every single penny, and basically feel guilty about that coffee you just bought. But is that really the way? Is that the path to financial freedom? The answer is a huge, emphatic no. Seriously. The whole idea behind this is that obsessing over $3 questions is never, ever going to get you $1 million life. That's a myth, plain and simple, and today we are busting it wide open. Okay, so if skipping lattes isn't the answer, what is? Well, it all starts with completely rethinking what it even means to be rich in the first place. This right here, this is the core idea. It's not about restriction. It's about being intentional. This philosophy gives you permission, full permission, to go all in on the things that bring you genuine joy, as long as you are absolutely ruthless about cutting out spending on the things you just don't care about.
And here's the key. A rich life is deeply personal. It's not about some number in a bank account. For one person, it might be flying first class around the world. For someone else, it might just be having the freedom to work from home and pick up their kids from school every day. Money is just the tool you use to design whatever that life looks like for you.
So how do we actually do this? How do we make it happen? Well, we get practical with something called the conscious spending plan. So look at this. On the left, you've got traditional budgeting. It's a word that makes most of us, just cringe. It's all about tracking every penny, feeling guilty, and constantly telling yourself no. But on the right, you have conscious spending. This is a total mindset shift. It's about figuring out what you love and then saying an loud, enthusiastic yes to those things. Here's how simple it is. You just pick 3 to 5 things you absolutely love spending money on. Maybe that's travel or dining out or your hobbies. Then you set up your finances so you can spend extravagantly, like a lot, in those areas, completely guilt-free. The trade-off? You become super frugal on all the other stuff, the things that just don't really matter to you. And here's a perfect real-world example. Let's say you don't really care about having the newest, shiniest phone, so you just keep yours for like 5 years. That one decision can free up thousands and thousands of dollars, money that you can then pour without even thinking twice into that 2-week trip to Japan you've always been dreaming about.
Now, this all sounds great, right? But you might be thinking, doesn't this take a ton of work and willpower? Nope, not at all. The real magic, the engine that makes this entire thing run on its own, is automation. We often think we fail with money because we're not disciplined enough. But this philosophy argues that's totally wrong. The real secret is to build a system where the right decisions just happen automatically. You make one smart choice, one time, and the system takes over for good. And this is what that system looks like. Your paycheck hits your account. The very next day, boom, money is automatically sent to your investments. Then, boom, another transfer goes to your savings goals. Then your fixed bills, like rent, get paid automatically. And the money that's left over? That is your guilt-free spending money. You can spend it on anything you want because you've already paid yourself first. The power of this is huge. First, it just gets rid of all that mental energy, that decision fatigue of constantly worrying about money. Second, it guarantees that you're consistently building wealth, month after month. And third, and this is my favorite part, it makes our natural laziness, our inertia, work for us, not against us. The system just keeps on working even if you forget it's there. All right, we've talked about how to manage your money day to day. But now let's talk about the big win. The single most powerful way to build real wealth: investing. And this brings us right back to the beginning. Look, you can only cut so much from your budget. There's a limit, but there is no limit to how much you can earn and grow. Investing, that is the ultimate big win. It's where you're going to see the life-changing growth that you could never ever get by just saving on lattes.
And you do not need a fortune to get started. So many people get paralyzed because they think they need all this money. But what if you just started with 1,000 rupees a month? The key isn't the amount you start with, it's being consistent and giving it time.
Just look at this chart. This is the magic of compound interest in action. After 10 years, that small monthly investment turns into a nice little pile of money. After 20 years, it's pretty significant. But look at what happens after 30 years. The growth just becomes explosive. That is the power of your money making more money for you. And it's the most powerful force in finance, period.
So, how do you actually do it? The rules are incredibly simple. First, just start as early as you possibly can to let that compounding do its thing. Second, stick to simple, low-cost index funds that just track the whole market. And third, for most of us, you gotta avoid the temptation to try and pick the next hot stock. That is a game you're probably not going to win.
Okay, so we've covered a whole new mindset, a conscious way to spend, the power of automation, and a simple way to invest. Now let's bring it all back to what really matters: you.
So here are the big takeaways. First, your rich life is personal. You have to define what that means to you. Second, ditch the guilt of budgeting and start practicing conscious spending instead. Third, build that set-it-and-forget-it system by automating your finances. And finally, invest simply and consistently for the long haul. And that brings us to the final and honestly the most important question. This isn't about what you need to cut out of your life, it's about what you want to add more of. So what is that one thing you would love to spend on, extravagantly, and completely without guilt? Answering that, well, that's the very first step to designing your own rich life.